Hello everyone, welcome to today's our online class. Today we are going to check the next chapter, Footprints Without Feet, written by H.G. Wells. In this chapter, we can find a scientist who discovered how to become invisible. So let's check what is there in the chapter. Can a man become invisible? This is the story of a scientist who discovers how to make himself invisible. Does he use or misuse his discovery? So a scientist discovered a medicine to become invisible. Let's check whether he used it for good or bad, isn't it? Let's check the chapter. The two boys started in surprise at the fresh muddy imprints of a pair of bare feet. So two boys, they were surprised to see the imprints of a pair of bare feet. Imprint, what is imprint? Imprint is a footprints, the marks of a foot. So bare feet. What was a barefooted man doing on the steps of a house in the middle of London? And where was the man? And they are thinking, what a barefooted man, a man without wearing any chapel or shoes. What is doing inside the house, the middle of London? Middle of the London, inside the house, what he is doing? You can see the footprints there. So what is barefooted without shoes or anything. And where was the man? And where is he? Only footprints are available. As they gazed, a remarkable sight met their eyes. A fresh footmark appeared from nowhere. So when they are looking at that, suddenly a new footmark, a fresh footmark appeared from nowhere. They didn't understand how it came there. Nobody's there. Suddenly a new footprint appeared. It's muddy, that's why. Further, footprints followed, one after another, descending the steps and progressing down the street. The boys followed, fascinated, until the muddy impressions became fainter and fainter and at last disappeared altogether. So here, they followed the footprints. The boys followed the footprints. New footprints are forming, and they followed that footprints. And suddenly it's become fainter, it's become less faded and altogether disappeared. The explanation of the mystery was really simple enough. So explanation for this mystery, this secret, that is simple enough. The bewildered boys had been following a scientist who had just discovered how to make the human body transparent. So the mystery of these footprints is they are following a scientist. He just discovered how to make the human body transparent, invisible. So we can check who is that scientist. Griffin, the scientist, had carried out experiment after experiment. So we know this is about the scientist. So the scientist name is Griffin. This scientist. So the scientist already become invisible, and the footprints only the children. So there, Griffin is the name of the scientist. Griffin, the scientist, had carried out experiment after experiment to prove that the human body could become invisible. Look at this picture. So how is there? Invisible there. Finally, he swallowed certain rare drugs and his body became as transparent as a sheet of glass, though it also remained as solid as glass. So what happened there? Griffin is a scientist. He used some rare drugs. Drugs means medicines. Some of the rare medicines he used, and he swallowed. He eat that one. So after that, he became transparent like a glass. But it is remained solid, strong enough. Strong as a glass also. Solid, strong as glass. Brilliant scientist though he was, Griffin was rather a lawless person. So he was a brilliant scientist, but the problem was that he was a lawless person. He didn't obey the laws. He was not at all obeying the laws. We can check what is there. His landlord disliked him and tried to eject him. Landlord means the house owner. The owner of the house, he didn't like him and he tried to eject him. He put him away, asking him to move from his house. In revenge, Griffin set fire to the house. We can understand how much what is a lawless person is now. He set fire to the house when the house owner asked him to move from there. To get away without being seen, he had to remove his clothes. So to escape from that, what he wanted to do, he removes clothes. So if he wear the clothes, then the part where he wear it is visible. Thus it was that he became a homeless wanderer. Because of that he became a homeless wanderer. So he doesn't have any home. Without clothes, without money, and quite invisible until he happened to step in some mud and left footprints as he walked. So he became a homeless wanderer and without any clothes, without money, and quite invisible. He was invisible until he stepped into a mud and left footprints when he was walking. He stepped into the mud because of that footprints only these children had seen. Until that he was invisible. Nobody can see him. Even though he doesn't have any money and he doesn't have clothes, but he was invisible. He escaped easily enough from the boys who followed his footprints in London because that mud was fainted. But his adventures were by no means over. So the adventures didn't over. That the experiment, adventurous experience, it didn't over now. He had chosen a bad time of the year to wander about London without clothes. He chosen a bad time. It was midwinter. It was the middle of the winter. Winter season, it was too cold there. There was bitterly cold. Bitterly means dangerously cold. Extreme. And he could not do without clothes. He could not live without clothes. Remember, when he wear the clothes, he'll become visible, but the head will not be visible. Instead of walking about the streets, he decided to slip into a big London store for warmth. So instead of walking about the street invisible, he decided to slip into means get into a big London store. He decided to get into a London store to get some warmth. Closing time arrived, and as soon as the doors were shut, Griffin was able to give himself the pleasure of clothing and feeding himself without regard to expense. So the closing time arrived. So when the doors closed, what he has there, he doesn't want to pay for the food what he was eating there. He doesn't want to expense any money. He can easily take the food from there and eat. He broke open boxes and wrappers and fitted himself out with warm clothes. So he opened different boxes and took the clothes and started to wear. Soon, with shoes, an overcoat, and a wide brimmed hat, he became a fully dressed and visible person. So, what he used shoes, he used a brimmed hat and overcoat and everything he became a visible person. In the kitchen of the restaurant he found cold meat. So now look there, he became the visible person by wearing the different clothes. So the head part will be invisible. So in the kitchen of the restaurant he found cold meat and coffee, and he entered the kitchen and he saw cold meat and coffee there, and he followed up the meal with the sweets and wine taken from the grocery store. After the meal, he ate the sweets and wine which is taken from the grocery store. Finally, he settled down to sleep on the pile of quilts. So, you can see the quilts there. He started to sleep there. If only Griffin had managed to wake up in good time, all might have been well. If he managed to wake up in good time, early in the morning, then it will be good. As it was, he did not wake up until the assistants were already arriving next morning. So he was not woke up next morning until the assistants arrived. When he saw a couple of them approaching, he panicked and began to run. He panicked means he became afraid and he started to run. They naturally gave chase. Naturally, the two assistants started to chase. In the end, he was able to escape only by quickly taking off his newly found clothes. So look there. In this picture, you can see that assistants are following him. As he was removing the hat, he's removing the overcoat, he removing these whole things to become invisible. So once more, he found himself invisible but naked in the chill January air. So here chill means the air is too cold. Winter season, we know that one. So again, in the middle of the street, he became naked and it was too cold there. This time, he decided to try the stock of a theatrical company in the hope of finding not only clothes but also something that would hide the empty space above his shoulders. So this time he decided to check in a something in the what's a theatrical company, film company, to get something that can cover his face also. Shivering with the cold, he hurried to a Drury Lane, the center of the theater world. Okay, so he entered there, entered a shop to get something to cover his whole face. He soon found a suitable shop. He made his way invisible. Upstairs, he came out. Upstairs and came out a little later wearing bandages round his forehead, dark glasses, false nose, big bushy side whiskers, so and a large hat. So he entered the shop. After that, what he did there, he invisible he entered there and he went to upstairs and he used it to get all the things to he wear the bandages and the bandage around his forehead. He wear the dark glasses and he kept a false nose and he also kept big bushy side whiskers. Whiskers means that beard and mustache. So he covered these whole things to make his face also visible. Otherwise, when he was wearing the dress, only his body part, where he was wearing the dress, it will be visible, but the head and face will be invisible. So what he has done there, he chosen these things. So look there in this picture, whiskers you can see there. So took these whole things to get this picture you can see. He kept his hat and everything. Now all the part is visible. To escape without being seen, he callously attacked the shopkeeper from behind, after which he robbed him of all the money he could find. So he wanted to escape from that. What he did there, he attacked the man. Callously means intently. And he robbed the money from there. Now we are stopping this part here now. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Next part we will take in the next class. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.